Great. So good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Lunch and Learn, albeit on a little bit of a somber note in South Africa today. If you are unmuted, just mute yourself. We'll keep the background noise down. So today is a tough day, obviously, waking up in South Africa. And whilst many of you might be joining from the Western Cape, that's starting to see the sun break through, the sun and the darkness is definitely not what people are experiencing, in particular KZN and Gauteng. And spent this morning reaching out to coaching partners in those areas as well as clients, and just hearing about the horror stories and the devastation. And watch out later on today on the Facebook channel, where I do a live update on just to help people navigate the nonsense that we're going through at the moment. And to try and keep sane is hard enough, let alone to focus on the business. But we're here to do our monthly Lunch and Learn. So if you've been with us before, we've covered off on time management, on team management, we've done finance, we've done sales. I'm really excited today to be doing marketing, which is the second, probably most important area of business that there is. If you can get marketing right and you can get finance right, you can solve all the problems that there are. So if you missed the finance session, make sure that you go back to watch the finance session and then really pay attention and take notes today as we do the marketing session. The whole idea is there's a sequence of topics lined out for the rest of the year. And every month, on the second Tuesday of every month, we really just sit down for 40 minutes. You invest your lunchtime, you grab a cup of coffee, you get some lunch, and make sure that you've got something to scribble on as you take notes, so that you really get some practical, really relevant things to impact your business and take it forward and make the necessary impact that you need to make. So if you haven't also registered for the sequence, and you might be attending live today on Facebook Live, go to impact.actioncoach.com and under the event section, you'll be able to sign up and make sure that you get all the necessary notifications for the other sessions as we roll out the sequence for the year. So let's get to marketing, and let's first understand, what is marketing? It's this elusive thing that they teach to PhD level at university, that thousands of people work on in any of the biggest corporates in the world. Those same corporates with thousands of employees focusing on marketing have external agencies helping them on everything you can imagine, whether it be advertising, websites, strategy, and yet still nobody has the power to flick the switch and make it rain. And that's really what we're going to try and debunk today, is where should you be focusing and what should you be doing to getting your marketing right. So the first thing to is understand, what is it? And simply speaking, marketing is not something foreign. It's not something creative. It's just simply maths. And how can marketing be maths, Harry? Well, the most important thing of marketing is that you test and measure. Because the more you use the maths philosophy and you actually measure and track and analyze, the more you'll see what's working and what's not working. Gone are the days where we could get away with saying things like, 50% of advertising works. We just don't know which 50%. We don't have that available resources anymore. We don't have the wastage. We don't have the margins. So we need to make sure that we focus on the analysis part, the testing and measuring part of marketing. Because if we don't do that, we end up wasting a lot of money, and then we get very frustrated. We also do the yo-yo roller coaster ride, where we market, spend a lot of money, put a lot of energy in. If it doesn't work, we stop doing it, and then down goes the roller coaster. Or even if it does work, we stop the marketing, and then all of a sudden we go into client service mode, and let's first deal with these people, and then we forget to market, and then we need to get back to marketing. So you need to understand that marketing is a full-time focus forever in your business. Marketing is a full-time focus forever in your business. We all know the famous Coke case studies that they're taught at MBA schools, where Coca-Cola, the number one probably brand and recognition-wise in the world, stopped advertising, stopped marketing, and their sales fell down. And still today, you see Coca-Cola marketing as well as advertising everywhere we can find. So it is a full-time, forever part of your business. Okay, so we get that part right. Now let's see, where does marketing really fit in? Now, last week we spoke about sales, and we spoke about sales before marketing because it doesn't help you generate the leads and you can't convert them. So if you missed last month, go back to the sales section so that you can do that first. But in the normal sequence of things, it won't be sales and marketing. It'll be marketing, then sales. So if you look at ActionCOACH, there's 5 ways out of the formula that we go and really unpack the income statement for you. It starts first and foremost with generating leads, generating expressions of interest, an awareness for your product or your service that somebody says or connects with you and says, I'm interested. I haven't bought from you yet. I'm just a lead. And through a sales process, we go about converting those leads before they become customers. Okay, so it doesn't just happen automatically. Sadly, many of us do actually sit on the lead generation side and do what I call hope and pray. And we'll get to that a little bit later on, how you do not want to run your business based on hope and pray. So it is the lifeblood of our businesses. Imagine a funnel, and we need to consistently be putting people in the top of the funnel, the lead, so that they can go through a process of awareness, understanding, conversion to becoming a client. That's not the bottom of the funnel. That just then puts them into the narrower part of the funnel within our customer, and they still need marketing, they still need communication, they still need brand building and awareness to get them to do business with us again, more transactions, and the rest of the 5 ways, numbers that we'll unpack in a separate session. So understand where marketing fits in, which is critical. But then we often start with a blank page. And where do we go to? And excuse the drawing. I should have paid a little bit more attention in art class, but we've climbed up the diving board, and we've got our businesses, and we're looking at where we're at, and we're going, I get what Harry's saying. I need to be doing marketing. And then invariably we walk to the edge, and we jump and launch ourselves, and then the marketing falls flat. And we end up being a little, just where you can see, a little puddle down the bottom. So the whole idea with the marketing strategy is that one is not enough. One marketing item is not enough. And in fact, when we work with our clients, we ensure that we work towards 10 different strategies, 10 different pillars holding up that marketing of your business, so that if one is medium term, one is short term, one is long term, one doesn't work, etc., it's okay, because there's multiple pillars that are going to have different timing, attracting different target markets, different messages, different mediums, but collectively there is a strategy. So if you need some more guidance on this, you can go to the website impact.actioncoach.com and download under the free resources section, our simple marketing plan and business plan template, where you can go focus on your business and your marketing plan. We want to put in 10 strategies. Geez, Harry, that sounds like quite a lot. How do I implement 10 strategies? Well, you don't do it all at the first instance. You don't wake up tomorrow morning and now you have 10. That's not how it works. So I'm first going to teach you a little bit of the context to those 10 strategies, and then we'll talk about how you actually roll them out and how you get ultimately to the 10 building blocks of your marketing strategy. So let's have a look and see where you need to focus. So yes, this is part sales, but sales and marketing dovetail quite nicely together. And the first thing that we need to do is look at our growth of our business and understand that for us to grow, ideally we want to break it up into quarters. We want to know that 25% of our growth can come from existing customers. Our existing customers that know, like, and trust us, how can they spend more money with us? Either doing more transactions for the same product or service, or they're spending more money on different products and services in the same interaction. So either average rand value or number of transactions. Well, we need to market to those people. It doesn't automatically happen. We need to communicate with them. We need to invite them back. We need to run promotions, create communication exposure for products and services that they might not be aware of. And that can get quite complex in itself. But we want to have a marketing strategy for existing customers. Do we have a newsletter? Do we manage our database? How do we communicate with that database? How do we not only share information, but have a call to action for them to act upon doing something else with us? So our existing customers are an important source of growth in our business. And therefore our marketing needs to be targeted at that 25%. And that's maybe a little bit more internal because they're already part of our ecosystem that we then focus on. The next one is where most of us spend our hope and pray strategy. We hope and pray that tomorrow morning, despite the corruption, despite the coronavirus, despite the looting and violence in some areas of our country, despite our own challenges on finances and family and health and sickness and all these things, that I'm going to wake up tomorrow morning thinking about you and how much money I can make for you and who I can refer to you. That doesn't happen. It just doesn't happen. So when we work on word of mouth or when we work on referrals, it's normally a hands-off transaction. Therefore, we're hoping and praying somebody wakes up tomorrow morning thinking about us. No, but we want to have that as a strategy. So we're actually putting the final touches together today on a new referral campaign that will actively and proactively encourage people to give referrals for people to become an Action Coach business coach. Because we are a franchise and we desperately need more coaches in the system to add value to more entrepreneurs like yourself. Okay, so it's an active strategy. There's a marketing intent behind going after our database, our existing customers, people that know us, people that land on our website, so that we can elicit referrals. And whether you incentivize them, whether you ask for them, how you do that is quite a complex process sometimes, but you need to ask. And it doesn't help to do what a lot of people do and say, well, can you think of anybody that will find value from what we already do? And people will say, yeah, let me think about it. And then they never get back to you. You need to find ways in the moment, not have it as a generic, but be very specific on who you're looking for as a referral and who they need to think about. In that moment, they need to go, it's Harry, I need to refer. I don't have to go think about it. Because if I have to go think about it, I've got too much else to think about. I'm not going to be thinking about your business and your referral strategy. So therefore, when we're asking for referrals, we're not just asking for, who they know. We're asking for, is it some of their friends? We're thinking categories. Is it some of their clients? Is it some of their suppliers? Is it some of their family members, friends, acquaintances, ex-colleagues, service providers? We need to give them categories and not 10 at a time. 1, can you refer a client that you think will find value in this product or service? Can you refer a supplier? Can you refer a friend? Can you refer, so it must be very specific. Okay, so that's 25% of our growth has come from actively looking at referrals. Obviously that's a good source because they know, like, and trust us, but you can also elicit referrals from people that haven't done business with you, from people that are in your sales cycle, from people that just land on your website. And whilst they might not be right for your product or service, they might know of somebody else. So an important strategy to have proactively around marketing. The next one is strategic partnerships. So what's your marketing strategy to go after people that could be a conduit, a middleman to your desired client or customer at the end of the coalface? So who's doing business with people typically that you would like to do business with? And how do you structure a deal? A referral agreement, we pass leads on, not so easy today, but you can still do it around sharing databases, joint offers. They might not give their database anymore, but they might promote something, and so on and so forth. And that's how affiliate marketing and all those other terms then fit in is we're using other people's connections, database, clients to source business for ourselves, and vice versa. And the best strategic partnerships are the win-win ones. So what do we need to have in place to market initially to those strategic partnerships, as well as ongoing, what collateral, what communication? If we want to be doing joint marketing initiatives, we must make it simple. We must give them what they need to do. The minute they need to think and go, oh, well, now I need a designer, need to get my web guy to fix it, can't even figure out my database, it's never going to happen. It's never going to happen. It needs to be simple, to the point, and you need to give that partner everything they need to be able to push whatever you're offering at the end of the day. And then the last part is, well, everything else. So if I know that I can break my marketing up into those 4 categories and have a focused approach for each of them, it makes it much simpler to prioritize, to understand the timing, because these will all have different lengths of sales cycles, and therefore I know where I need to put my money, my energy, my time, and my focus. So those are all critical categories of where we need to be marketing to. But now let's get into some of the tactics and say, okay, well, what should I be focusing on? Now there's this swear word down at the bottom, brand, that many of us in entrepreneurial type of businesses get suckered into. And I put it at the bottom because I want to cover it last, because it's also probably the last thing in terms of priority. Brands that we know today, whether they be telecoms companies, insurance companies, banks, mining houses, sadly not many law firms, maybe the odd accounting firm. These are companies that have been around for decades. Most of them, especially on the retail side, have spent by now billions. And every time I say billions, I always think of John Robbie on 702 when he used to talk about the billions lost in corruption. He said that's billions with a B, not millions. That's 1 and 9 noughts. Billions have been spent to develop that. Yet still for many of those brands, it doesn't automatically just result in money. So, bit of a different context for you. If you're listening to this, you might not have a few billion to throw around to establish your brand. So we need to look at the 3 categories first before brand. Yes, brand is pulled through on everything, but we need to look at the others. And priority number 1 is direct marketing. Now, what do I mean by direct marketing? Well, that could be good old cold calling, done so badly on average, it's just not funny, and that's why we hate it, but it can be done well. That could be what we teach, rather warm or bold calling. That could be direct mail. That could be email. It's anything that I can interact directly with my desired audience, and I can elicit feedback immediately, whether that be yes or no, whether that be maybe, whether that be maybe let's talk, let's see what you've got to offer, send me something, where I can go direct to the market. Because most businesses don't have the time and money and effort to develop brand and indirectly rely on sales. They need leads, you need leads, so that you can put them into the top of your funnel and filter it through the conversion process. So that's priority number 1. What can we do directly to elicit leads so that we can start putting them through a funnel of communication and sales, ending up in customers? And for different businesses, there would be different things, but you need to think direct. How do I go direct? How do I go direct to ask for a referral? How do I go direct to my existing customers to elicit more interest? How do I go direct to strategic partners, etc., etc.? So very important. And I think in the digital social world, we seem to be becoming lazy because we're going, oh, it's a virtual world, hands off, let's just do all this fluffy stuff. Fluffy stuff doesn't make it rain. And if you don't make it rain, there's no money for your bank account. So we want to go direct as a primary first priority. Yes, some of the tools we use then fall into the second priority, digital. Now, digital is not just Facebook. Digital is not just LinkedIn. In fact, social media is just one sliver of digital. So digital could be and should be your website. Why you don't understand? Websites aren't so important anymore. Really. So when you Google, somebody's going to find your Instagram page. Yes, as an individual, maybe. So if you Google your own name, it'll pop up on Instagram. Not as successful for your business name or your product. Still today, your website is your shop window in the digital world. So digital is very much about a website. And then one can look at that website. How effective is it? How fast is it? What are the call to actions? What are the lead magnets? What are the opportunities to grow a database, etc., etc., etc. Digital is the CRM system that fills in the back end. Digital is social media across the range of things. Digital media and marketing is things like AdWords and Google and all sorts of spend that can happen. Now here, the theory says, better marketing to do, because here you can do very targeted campaigns and you can also test and measure and there's less wastage. Yes, in theory, sometimes in practice, but not always. Not all businesses can get the targeting to the level that they need without wastage. Not all targeting, especially in social media, is as accurate as they say. It's also not an exact science. It also has a lot of wastage. It also is competing price for price with competitors in the market. So whilst the theory is, that's the way to go, you'll also see that many of those companies are no longer doing cost per click, they're doing cost per impression. Well, cost per click is a lot more quantifiable because I know there's been some action taken than cost per impression. If you do the analysis on some videos, which we hear are the next best thing to be doing in marketing, and I'm not saying they're not, but if you do the analysis, some of those videos are only being watched because people have got the automatic feed open on their videos and they're literally scrolling past your video. Well, that doesn't really help you, does it? So any of these digital strategies, unless you're getting the right pair of eyes on them, you're not doing a great job for marketing. So if you're getting website traffic, but they're not the right people, that's a problem. If you've got the best website and you're not getting traffic, that's a problem. If you're doing videos and they're being watched, but they're not translating into any business, that's a problem. Similarly, if you're doing videos and nobody's watching them, that's a problem. So on their own, they do nothing unless they're part of a sequence. And that's then digital over there. Then we need to focus on relationship. Now, part of social media, part of even brand building is relationship building. It's not about generating a lead. It's about establishing trust. So social media would be part of digital, but it would also be part of relationship. Strategic partnerships that we spoke about in the previous section would be relationship. Building a deeper understanding of our clients, their needs, wants, desires is relationship marketing, because then we can target like-minded, similar people. We can then take some of that relationship understanding and put it back into the digital strategy. And in fact, some of it even into the direct strategy. So relationship is understanding that people do business with people they know, like, and trust. People do business with people similar to themselves. Similar people will like your product and your service. So it's about focusing and understanding on the relationship and nurturing that relationship in the marketing to ultimately then again get them in the funnel, work them through and get them to become clients once, twice, 3 times over, and then ultimately up what we would call our ladder of loyalty to create raving fans for your business. And that's a whole different discussion on its own. Then we want to look at brand. Now here's the reality. If you have a really crappy brand, That's okay as long as you do the other stuff consistently. And then I'm going to talk about something as simple as videos. If you do a sort of grainy, no real background music, no real animated graphics video, and you place it out there, but it speaks to the target market, it's going to the people that you know need your product and service, the messaging is really, really good, well, then the actual professionalism doesn't have that big an impact. Now, I'm not saying put crap quality out there, but I am saying we get sometimes too caught up in the bells and whistles and we don't focus on the messaging. And I will talk a little bit about where the priorities need to be for that. So the brand underlies and supports everything, but on its own, it doesn't bring you business. And there's very, let's look at the financial services industry, especially insurance. These are multi-billion rand companies, yet every one of their leads on average come from cold calling. If you're a financial advisor, if you're selling insurance, most of your business is cold calling until you've built a client base to do referrals. They spent billions, they've been around forever. That's the reality. So don't get caught up in spending all your money, time and effort here unless you're doing the others. And of course you want a base that shows that you're credible, and you will build the professionalism over time. You know, I remember one of our coaches in the business that we had, her website was outdated. She never had any up-to-date events on there, yet she was one of our, if not the most successful coach that we had in the business. Because she was really good at marketing and sales on the front end. The fluff wasn't that important. She had it, you could find it, it was basic, but it wasn't world-class. Others had world-class brand initiatives, but they weren't doing the generalized marketing, so people weren't seeing it, and therefore that was a problem. So it's just about getting the priorities and the sequence right. Then we want to look at saying, okay, that's great. Harry spoke about a crappy video, but done well. So what should I be focusing on in that scenario? And the first one is, who is your target market? Who are you going after? And know very well what's the 80% of people that will fall into that category. Are they males, blue eyes, in their 40s, and they like motorbikes? Then you might be talking to me, and then you could target me specifically. But you need to know who the target market is, because then everything focuses on getting at that target market, and then you have less wastage. The next priority is the offer that you're putting to that target market. Is it compelling? Does it speak to their needs? Is it specifically outlining what you can offer, what their need is, and the bridge between the two that, okay, yeah, that will make my life simpler, better, easier, more enjoyable, fun, less stressful. I'm willing to come across and do business with you. So priority number one is the target market. Priority number two is the offer. And then lastly is the copy. What we actually put together, the look and feel, the professionalism, the brand, the graphic designer, the click-throughs, all the rest of it. Least important. Because if we're speaking to the right people and we offer the right thing, this is not unimportant, but it is lower in priority than getting the first two right. And too often we spend all our time here, not really understanding the two there. And then finally, in that copy in particular, when we're looking at that copy, we need to focus on the AIDA principle. Now, some of you will know this, some of you will say, oh, gee, Harry, that's a bit old and boring. Some of you will go, is that the property franchise? It's none of the above. This is old. It's taught marketing 101, but it is still relevant today across all those 4 strategic growth areas existing customers, referrals, strategic partners, and the rest. And it's just as applicable when we look at the different types of marketing: direct, digital, relationship, and brand. The first thing we need to do is grab people's attention. If you don't grab them attention in this cluttered, chaotic world, it doesn't matter what you've done. You need to grab that attention. So that's often with a headline, a email description so that it gets opened in the first place. A question is often a great way to grab attention. If you want to speak, like we often do, just to entrepreneurs, then you say, attention entrepreneurs. If you're a nurse, it's not speaking to you, and that's okay. So you can be as obvious as saying attention entrepreneurs, because it's grabbing their attention. That's what we want to do first. Once we've got their attention, we've got seconds to get them interested. To go, oh, okay, got my attention, now what? Is this of interest? Does it speak to my needs? Does it really speak to me? So that after I'm interested, I'm going, oh, this is interesting. I'd like to find out more. I'd like to read more. I'll now actually listen to the rest of your YouTube video or read the rest of your email or your script or your phone, and this is often where we go wrong in call centers. I then develop a desire to say, okay, I'm interested. Tell me more about this. I want to find out more around how this is actually going to serve me. Oh, this is really, really speaking to me. I'm really understanding how I'm going to benefit from this. Yes, now, what is the action? What is the desired action, the next step, the follow through, all the rest of it? How do the call centers grab our attention? We wait 2 seconds for the predictive dialer to connect them, and then they go, hello, is this Mr. Welby-Cooke? That's normally what I get. No grabbing my attention. In fact, my attention is now already. Do they grab and get me interested? No, they just automatically assume and verbal diarrhea all over me and try and sell me something I might already have. Is there any desire to even listen to them further, let alone take any action? No. So whatever you're putting out there, whether it is direct, whether it's digital, whether it's relationship, or whether it is brand, kind of put it through this assessment. Does it grab attention? Is it creating interest? Will that interest and the depth of a little bit of what we're explaining create a desire for people? Because unless it does, they won't take action, no matter what call to action you put at the bottom. And everybody's going, oh, call to action, this call to action. Yeah, important. If you've done the first 3. Otherwise, you don't get that. And then know full well that marketing has wastage. Marketing has a little bit of overflow, a little bit of a numbers game. You cannot run a business marketing this much, expecting this much in return. Open rates will be low. Click-through rates will be lower. That's just the way it is. Because it's too easy when I'm bored to pick up my phone and interact with you, even if I don't really care about you. Even if I have no intention of doing business with you, I'm just killing time. We look at that from a stats perspective in our businesses and go, oh, why is this not converting? Well, it's easy. Go to Google and type what are cost per clicks, what are good click-through rates, what are good open rates, and you'll quickly see what more or less the averages are for different industries. There's every year an annual benchmark that's done by a range of different people, and then you can just chill a bit and go, oh, okay, it's not really what we're doing. It's not our target market. It's not our offer. It's not our copy. It's just we're not doing enough of it. Or our things are actually in kilter. They are actually in the right frame. So then we do have to go and evaluate what's our target market. Is it clear? What is the offer we're putting out there? And then clearly assess, is our offer and our copy speaking to these things? Now, there's a whole lot of stuff I covered off on today. Everything from test and measure, which is the most important. understanding where it fits in, marketing, generating leads, and then nurturing leads even once they become customers. Understanding that there's 4 areas that your marketing should be focusing on to get growth in your business. Existing customers, referrals proactively, remember, not hope and pray, strategic partnerships, and then also everything else. Okay, so we've got 4 categories to focus on. We're then going to make sure that we've got a direct, a digital, a relationship, and a good one. The 4th one on the stone. We're going to make sure that's here and show you, if your memory in mind, we're going to have the brand also sorted, which is underpinning but not critically a priority in the beginning. So the direct is digital, the relationship, and the brand. Then we make sure target market first, then have the right offer to that target market, and then we make sure that the copy speaks to that through the AIDA principle, and Bob's your uncle, Mary's your auntie, as they say. And now you've got a funnel that can generate interest. You then apply what we spoke about in the previous session on sales to help convert that interest, that prospect, that suspect, that lead, that potential customer. You do the right amount of follow-up, and then you get money in your pocket. And that's the critical crux of business. Marketing first. Once you've got the business, the money in your pocket, yes, then finance kicks in. Fix those 2 issues, there's nothing you can't fix in business. Because you'll either have the volume of interest to help create the money that you need to fix your problems with, or you'll have wastage, but that's okay because you're good at the marketing, so you'll get away with some of the finance stuff. There is no other challenge in business. Fix marketing, fix finance, you fix everything else. So we've got a couple of minutes left. If there's any questions, you're welcome to type them in the chat box. Other than that, it's more important to go implement. So great to sit here today and learn. Great to nod your head and go, oh, yeah, this makes so much sense. Make notes, make notes. It means nothing if you don't take action. And that's why this business is called Action Coach. It's not one day when coach. It's not when I get the time coach, when life gets better coach, when they stop looting, when COVID goes away. It's Action Coach. Despite the clutter, you have a business to run. Despite the frustrations and the issues, you have a goal to achieve. And therefore taking action is the most important. So it's been a privilege to share with you again today. Hope you've learned something. Make sure that you register at impact.actioncoach.com if you're not already registered for the rest of the series. August will be a good one because despite everything else that's going on, this session next month will be focusing on recruitment. And we're going to talk about a lot of myths, a lot of things we do poorly, a lot of things we don't do. And we're really going to focus on recruitment, making sure that you get the right people up front. And we'll teach you some real principled, easy stuff to do, which will be a whole new look at recruitment from probably how you've done it before. But make sure that you get the right people now on the bus to move forward. So excited to look at that for next month. No questions at the moment, so I hope you've had a lot of fun. Hope you've learned something. Stay safe and gain some perspective on where we're going, and maybe look out for the update video I'll do later today to say, well, how do you help with that perspective, that clarity, that focus in amongst all the clutter and distraction and destruction at the moment. So thanks very much, everyone. Have fun. See you soon. Cheers. Bye.